Hi, I'm Becca and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make these canes. There's some petal canes and some flower canes, but we're creating all of these from one Skinner blend. Now I wanted to show you how you can manipulate a Skinner blend into looking slightly different in different ways. Now the main canes that we're making are the petal canes, but then you can reduce it down and create the flower canes, which is what I'm going to show you. There's just slight differences and variations within each of these, so you're building your stash quite quickly, but they're all going to coordinate because they're derived from the same colour family. So yeah, hopefully you'll feel inspired to have a go at making some of these. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make these canes. Right, so to make these canes I'm just using one Skinner blend. Now you can do it in any other colour, the ways that I'm going to show you. I just want to show you a way that you can build your cane stash fairly quickly. So you're still going to have to make your canes whatever, but if you're just making one Skinner blend, then all of the canes that I'm going to show you what to do are going to coordinate together. So you don't need to worry whether if they're going to match or whatever, because they're all going to be from the same colour. So I've got a nice sort of deep green, and I've just added a bit of gold to it because it was a bit too bright for what I was thinking, and this is just regular sculpted pearl. Now I'm going to create a Skinner blend. Now you're probably thinking this is a heck of a lot of clay, but we are making 4 or technically 8 canes altogether, so you're going to need a fair bit of clay. Now I'm wanting to make sure that I've got some of the original colour of either of these at either end of the Skinner blend, so I'm going to try and overlap it this way. We can always in fact I've got more green here now since I've added the gold to it, so because I started out with just one pack of each of the pearl and the green, but then I decided I wanted to darken up the green a little bit. So I've got these overlapped. Cut them to an angle like you do with a regular Skinner blend. Just realised I've come off there we go. So I'm going to create this blend by just using these pieces first, and then if I need to add any more I've still got these bits that are left over. So when you're making a Skinner blend, if you've not made one before, they're really easy. You just basically stagger your clay like this, or you could do the teardrop method as well. This is just a different version. So you fold it this way and then you put your fold into your pasta machine, or if you're not using a pasta machine you can do it by roller, it just takes a lot longer. So you put your folded edge into the pasta machine and wind it round, and then you just keep folding it back on that way until you've got a nice blend. And what we're wanting to create is basically a blend from the original green transitioning into sort of just the original pearl. So I'm going to go do that because it's going to take probably about 20 so times for running it through the pasta machine to get the blend that I'm wanting, and you don't need to see that. So I'll be back once I've got it blended. Right, so you can see that I've got a lovely blend transition going from the original green down to the original pearl, which is exactly what I wanted. So what we're going to do now is we're going to divide this into 3 sections, but not 3 even sections. So we're going to go halfway down to start with, and this is going to be for 2 of the canes, and this is going to be for 2 of the canes, but we need to cut this one in half again. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to manipulate the clay to go in different directions so that we can create different flowers but with the same blending. It'll make sense in a bit. So I'm just going to fold this up on itself just so that I can make it a bit longer, and I'm going to pass it through the pasta machine on a number 1, and then I'm going to thin it out. I'll go down to a 3. Now the idea of doing this is to get it as thin as you are comfortable working with. If you don't want to take it really thin, then you don't have to. It's just so that you get a smoother transition doing the bullseye canes that I'm going to be showing you. So that I could probably get down another one. This clay is very, very soft. I found that with the Sculpey there, it's the Sculpey Primo. It's really, really good for conditioning. It don't take much conditioning at all, really. But I wouldn't use it for finer detailed canes, simply because it stays quite soft and it could distort quite a fair bit. So for these canes, it's perfect. So this is what I'll use it on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same with the other piece, but we're going to roll them in different ways. So in this one, I'm going to start off with the white as the centre. So yeah, I'm just checking that it's on camera there. And we're just going to roll it up. Try and make sure you get out as much air as you can. That's our first one. Now, I forgot to say before I started rolling this up, this is when you can decide if you've not got enough of the white or enough of the green for what you're wanting. In the centre you could just add a little bit more of the pearl or the green, whichever way around you're doing it, and the same to the outside. You just roll it out and then wrap it around it, which you'll be able to figure out anyway. So I'm going to do the same one with this one, but I'm going to start with the green in the centre. So I'll go ahead and do that. Right, so I've got them done now, but looking at them, I think I could do with putting a little bit more of the pearl on this one. So I'll just roll that back through on another one. So it's always easy for you to be able to add clay to it. Taking it away is a little bit more difficult, so it's easier just to keep adding a little bit rather than having to put loads in and then try and get it to come back out. So say if you wanted some more of the green on and you've got some of the original, you could wrap it more around on it on that. Or for the centre you just roll up a log. Now there obviously I've not got enough going around, so I'm just going to trim this off. And then once you've got it like that, you can just rock your cane on the plate. Make sure I've got the and then just fill in that gap. There we go. And then we're just about done. Okay? So that's two of the bases created. Now we're going to create the other two now. Now, the reason that we're doing it like this is because the same process is the same for both of the next two flowers. It'll make sense in a bit. When I was doing the practice, I thought I didn't really need to have rolled it out one for each one. I could have just done it together. So this is what I'm teaching. So we're doing exactly the same as what we've done before. We're thinning it out, but then we're going to manipulate it in a different direction. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fan fold it. So that's probably about an inch. You can do it bigger or smaller depending on how big you want in your cane, really. But like I said, because we're making two canes out of this section, we're making two out of the other section, you needed a fair bit of clay to do all four of them, you know, if you're doing the same process as what I'm doing. As you can see, it's gone a bit wonky. But that's not a problem, so we're going to squish it down with this acrylic block. and this will get any other air out that there is. Now, as you can see, I've got a few air pockets there. Now, you could always add a little bit more white pearl onto it, or whatever colour you're using. You don't have to use the same as me. So I have got a little bit left here, but might as well put it on. So and the same goes for the green. If you wanted to put more of the other colour on, this is the stage that you do it. There we go. So that's got that little bit of the pearl used up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this into a cylinder. So we're just going to push on each of the corners. Out. That's it. Now what we're going to do is, let's see what we've got. So we've got a nice 2-inch log there. So I'm going to cut this in half. And then we've got our next 2 cane bases. So they're roughly about the same size as the other one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create the veins of our petals, which will be making up the flower in the end. So I've conditioned 3 other clays. Now when I was doing the practice canes, and I'll show them in a second, I concentrated more on the colours of the veins than I did on the actual base colours, and it were a bit of a rookie mistake really. And I will show you. Simply because I used a fluorescent yellow and a pearl white at the end, and the whole Skinner blend to start with, it looked really good, but the further and further down it got reduced, you couldn't really tell that there were much difference from one into the other one. They're still really nice canes, but yeah, they've not got as much colour change in it as I wanted. So hopefully this way will turn out a lot better than those ones did. So put that one back there. So you're wanting something that's going to be a stark contrast to what your flowers are. So I've gone for something that's really quite stark compared to it. So I want 2 stark colours, and then I want a sort of paler one to go in the middle, because we're going to do 3 sets of veins on all of these. So what shall we go with first? Let's go with the purple. So this is just rolled out on my thickest setting. And what I'm going to do, just going to, let's just straighten up that edge a bit. Now we're not going to wrap this all the way around the cane. I'm just going to do part of it. So we're going to go mostly round. So as you can see there, I've probably done about 2/3, something like that. And then trim that off. Now obviously it's a lot longer on that side, so trim that off again. Anyway, in fact I wanted to try doing something. I saw another video, I can't remember who it was, but they used a pair of scissors for trimming, and I had never thought of doing that on here. So I'm passing it. If I can remember who it is that I saw it on a video, I'll put a name in the description box or up on the screen or something. But I thought, what a fabulous idea, because usually I'm just used to using my blade and doing it, but scissors I can get a bit more accurate going round with it. So yeah, so that's my tip from somewhere else. I will try and find out where I watched it from. So, right, so we've got the purple, and then we want to go for our lighter one, so I've got a blue. So do what we did before, straighten up the edge. It's just a rough idea. Now, if you're wondering why this one's sparkling, this is one of the Galaxy female colours, and I wouldn't use it for the main part of a cane, simply because I've found that the glittery parts that's in it can cause sort of scratch marks when you're slicing through a cane, but because this is only going to be a really thin part of the cane, I'm thinking that it's not going to show up as much, that scratch. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So now we're just going to stagger this, come around here. There we go. Okay, and then we want our last one, which is this red. And this last one is going to stagger it even more. There. And that's what I'm going to do with all of these canes. Now, that one's just fairly obvious what we're going to do, but with these ones we're going to have them like this, and I'm going to put these three colours on the green side of one and these three colours on the pearl side of this one. So I'm going to go off camera and do that because you don't need to see me doing it another 3 times, but I'll come back once I've got them all to that stage and I'll show you what to do next. Right, so as you can see I've got all 4 of them created now, so you can see how they just they differ from one another, but yet they're going to match because they've all got the same colours pretty much. So I'm going to show you what to do next with just one of them, and then I'll go off camera for the rest. So we'll just take this one. Now we're wanting to turn this into a triangle. We're wanting one of our points to be this red side here. So what I like to do is just pinch the top. In fact, didn't trim all of that red off there. And then I push down so it starts going flat on that side as well. Okay, and just rotate your cane and push on either side, and then we're going to be stretching it out. Push down the middle. Now if your clay gets too squishy, then just leave it to rest a little while and then carry on from there. But because it's a flower or a petal cane, it's just going to make it look, you know, like the veins are more natural because they're not completely straight, so there's no need to worry about it. I'm wanting to lengthen this out so we can cut it into sections. Also use acrylic block if you're wanting to try and straighten up the edges. Rotate it. Also I want to squish the bottom side, so like where the main colour is. Just want that to thin out. Keep flipping it around because I tend to use my dominant hand squeezers harder than what my non-dominant one does, so I find that if I just flip it around get it to even out a little bit better. So as you can see here, I've gone and thinned out a bit too much of the red there. So I'm just going to take some of the red a little bit thinner. This is just so that I'm not losing too much of the colour on the cane. So because I've been thinning it out, that's why I've rolled it out so thin there. So I'm just going to take a little bit over. You can do that with all of the colours if needs be, and then just carry on reducing. As you can see there, that's the different colours that we've got, and that's why I wanted to have that stark contrast. So I got that lighter blue in between the two darker ones, so you'll be able to see it in the cane when it's done. So I'm going to cut that into 2-inch sections, so I will have 7 altogether. So we've got our sections here. I'm just going to put them together. And we're just going to squish them down now. And we need to turn it into a triangle again. So yes, this makes it a little bit chunkier for putting it back together. It just takes out that sort of step of having to reduce it down once again. Now we've got them sort of sticking to each other. Not that they're doing it the other ways wrong, it was just when I was putting the practice one together that the colour didn't work properly. I thought, oh, I'm going to do it like this and it'll sort of take out that extra step. So essentially you're doing it but just in a different order. Right, so we've got it back down now so that it's, we can get it into a triangle again. So, and as you can see, hold that up, you've got lots of different veins in here. Now if you've not got enough here, you could always just chop it in half again and it'll double the amount of veins that's in it. But I'm just going to leave it like this one because I'm quite happy with that one. So I'm going to go and do the same thing with these 3 canes here once I've got all that done, and I will come back and show you the next stage. Okay, so I've got all 4 of those canes put together now. I've not cut the ends off because I want to line each of these now with a different colour. So what I've got is, this is just Fimo Mint. I think it was called Mint anyway. Mint green, I think it was when I opened the packet. Yes, mint. So yeah, if you want to use this colour, it's just straight up mint. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line each of these canes now. Just trim it off what you don't need. So essentially this is your first cane. So this, when I was speaking earlier about having either 4 or 8 canes, this is like one part of the cane. So, and then you'd reduce them down to do the next part of it. So that's how you can potentially have 8 canes from doing this one blend. So just making sure I've got all the air pressed out from the edges. There we go. And that one's ready. So I'll go and put it on the other 3 and I'll be back in a second. So they're all lined out now, so the next part is just to reduce it down for us to make it into our flower cane. So I'll just put these to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce it down a little bit to start with, and then I'm going to cut a section off that I'm just going to keep as just a pure petal cane on its own, so I can decorate things differently with it, or just create petal beads. So again, we're just reducing it down like we did before, just squishing and pulling, and basically just manipulating it into a different size. So I've got that reduced down a little bit, so I'm gonna now, how long have I got it at 4 inches, so I'm going to take, let's do an inch and a half. And then that's our first petal cane. So I'm going to keep that to the side, and then we're going to reduce this down enough for us to be able to cut it into 5 and create it into a flower. Right, so I've got that to about 5 inches now. Cut it into 1 inch sections, so I'm just going to take this end off. So we've just got that little bit there, and I'm keeping a little pile of scraps at the end so I can make some lentil beads or other types of things just with the scrap bits at the end. Right, so let's put these up. Okay. So each of the sections now we're going to have to just press down on the centre part here, which is this little bit. This is because we're going to be putting something in the centre to give it sort of like that, can't remember the centre part of the flower, the stamen, I think that's what it's called. And I'm going to just put a cylinder of a block of clay, just whatever colour you want to do. You can do the centres of the flowers in multiple different colours like this. Basically just a bullseye cane I've reduced down and then chopped it up and squished it back together and reduced it down again until I've got like these little dots. But you can just use a plain colour. So I'll just take a little bit of this gold. If you just look at sort of like this and hold it up to it, then you'll be able to see whether if that's the right size for what you want. So I think that's about right. So put that up, and then this is why we were pressing down on that centre part, rounding it off so it creates a gap for the flower to hold it in. So I'm just going to put these into position. Okay, and once you've got them stuck at one side and in the position that you want, flip it over and then just get them lined up the same on the other side. And then we're just going to push these petals in. And then we can just squeeze these. And this is why we put the different colour clay on the outside of the cane before we reduce it down to this part. It gives you that definition in between each of the petals, plus it gives you a different aspect to the cane, but it gives you an idea of where you want to sort of press it in with your needle tool and things if you're wanting to make flower beads. So there we go. Now don't roll it out like this too often. I just do that every now and again just to get it so the outside's evened off. Okay, so we've got there, so it's all stuck together now, and I'll just take a slice there, and we've got our flower cane. Now it does look a bit stark, that colour there in the middle, but when you actually, I'll take the bit that I've just cut off. So imagine this is just your slice when you've cut it down like a bead. You push it in this way, so you don't see as much of that colour once you've done this part of it. But if that bothers you, if you're not going to be using them as beads, if you're doing that, you could just make your clay even thinner than what you've done on the outside of your canes before you've reduced it. So I'll go and do that with the other 3 canes, and I'll be back when I'm all done. So I've got all my canes put together now, and as you can see I've got 8 canes all together. I've got 4 petal canes and 4 flower canes. I'm going to go through them and show you them a bit more up close so you can just see the subtle differences. So this is the first one, and this is one where we fan folded it, and we decided, well, I decided to put the vein colours on the pearl side on this one. So as you can see it's got that nice bleeding out into the green at the edges, and this is the other one where we used the veins on the green side of it. So they're similar, but they've also got that difference to them, so you've got a variation for what you can use when you're making beads or decorating things, and there's lots of different things that you can do with them. And the next ones are the bullseye canes that we created, and now this one's where we used the pearl in the centre. So as you can see it's got predominantly the pearl, but then it's got that green tinge around each section of the petal. And then this one's the other way around. So this one's where it's got the green in the centre and the pearl on the outside. So like before with the other one, it's just got a subtle difference, but you've got that variation there, so you've got an option for when you're using these beads. So you don't have to create all of these all in one go. I just wanted to show you how you could create so many different canes in just one blend of clay. Now you could do blends with more than 2 colours, so that will give you an extra variation as well. You could just do one of these types, you know, with just one skinner blend, but this is just how you can manipulate a skinner blend to look different, but by using the same colours, but just in a different way. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and it's inspired you to have a go at making some petal and flower canes. If you've got any questions, please ask me in the comments. I'm happy to answer them as always. And if you like the video, if you could give me a thumbs up, that'd be appreciated. And if you've not subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and then you'll be notified anytime that I upload a new video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.